Mike McCool here with the Royal Examiner. I am in Bentonville, Virginia today with a group of concerned citizens about the firing range that's proposed to go out here on the landfill. With me is David Brotman. He's a resident of this area.
That's
Why don't you
right.
give us a little overview real quick of what's going on? But I'm going to go ahead and step behind the camera so I can get a nice view of you and all these lovely people here. So David, go ahead and tell us what's going on out here.
Okay, so the Sheriff's Department of Warren County has put a proposal in front of the Planning Commission, which will eventually go to the Board of Supervisors, that they need additional training. Their officers need additional training. In fact, every year they have to be trained on their firearms so that they're certified with specific weapons. They have had arrangements with a multitude of other facilities in the region, and that has so far worked out reasonably well. They're concerned that sometimes it's costing them a little bit more in overtime and travel. Their proposal suggests that there will be no cost to the county to put in this new facility, a new firing range over here at the landfill, at the Warren transfer station. We're quite certain that there will be costs associated with the long-term development and maintenance of the project. And that's one of the things that we want to make sure that there's a fair process in assessing the Sheriff's Department's needs to determine that this is the right time to invest in such a facility for the protection of the county's citizens and residents and for the proper functioning of the county. So establishing that the need is really there, what the costs would be, that we can handle those costs as a community, and what the impacts would be depending on where we put it. As I say, the Sheriff's Department has proposed that this is the most viable site on their radar. We're proposing that there needs to be a wider process to determine what's truly best, not only for the community and the county, but for the Sheriff's Department themselves, to give them every aspect of a training range that they would need.
Well, every time the public comes out and protests these things, it's always not in my backyard.
Exactly.
But you moved out here because it's quiet.
Yes, it's beautifully quiet. One of the things that people bring up sometimes at these public meetings or even among county officials is, well, we already have the transfer station. You're already in a noise zone. The transfer station was exempted from the noise noise ordinance because there's no way to run a transfer station without exceeding the noise ordinance to some degree. What's not being talked about is the fact that rifles, and these may be up to 10 rifles or 10 pistols at a time, for up to 8 hours a day, with intermittent shooting up to 8 hours a day, for up to 30 days in a year. Okay, it's a completely different sound signature from. I don't know if you want to take a second and listen and see if we can
really hear anything.
Yeah,
We're just a few feet away from it.
Right, exactly. We're about 300 feet from the transfer station right now, and I can just hear a little bit of one backup whistle. Okay, my home is approximately 400 yards, 500 yards uphill from here. And the Sheriff's Department and the county themselves came to my front porch on a day where they engaged a number of local citizens to get permission to measure the sound at our homes. The decibel readings were 69 decibels on my front porch with leaves on the trees and almost only trees in between the firing range and my home. And 62 decibels is the restriction of the typical ordinance. So there will be impact not only on quality of life, but this is going to impact the values on our properties, and that has to be measured as a cost of this project if it is approved and where it is approved.
It's one thing to have an occasional noise, but it's having a bombardment of noise.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, let's go see if we have some other citizens that want to speak right now. John, why don't you come on up here? Just give us your name so we can...
Yes, sir. Good morning. John Jenkins. I live right across the road there, Gimlet
Now,
Ridge.
you've spoken in front of the Board of Supervisors several times, haven't you?
Yes, sir. And I'm not the best speaker in public. I have to admit that. And I have a lot of issues. It's hard to explain everything in a 3-minute time limit. One of the things that concerns me is the process by which the range was introduced to the Planning Commission. That was done on June the 12th. At the time, the Planning Commission did not have a signed application in hand, and per those conversations, that meeting, the Sheriff's Department had already selected the transfer station here in Warren County without any information given to the Board of Supervisors, and I always thought that it was up to the Board of Supervisors, the County Administration Office, to develop where infrastructure should go, training facilities, for the sheriff to actually select this location without any input from the citizens or from Warren County government just doesn't seem fair. The other main issue is the safety issues. Firing toward, my father taught me a long time ago, you do not point a firearm where people are at.
Right.
You don't shoot across the road. Those are actually legal consequences for doing that. So if you're going to fire toward a neighbor who's 60 to 80 feet away and then fire toward Shenandoah National Forest, Skyline Drive, which is 400 yards away, most of the ammo that they're going to use will travel a half a mile to three miles. People that hike in that area, there's a big liability, and it may never happen. Right. It may never happen. People say it'll never happen. That's like people say people get injured or shot with a gun that's not loaded. Right, right. So those are my two big concerns. Right. And
so you think maybe that there's other locations?
There are other locations, and the town of Front Royal has an excellent location for shooting firearms. So why does Warren County need two locations? I mean, it's always a concern, or it's always an expense to have two separate police departments, right, two different judicial divisions in a small county. So if the shooting range is already there, I mean, Sheriff Klein, I do not know, never met her personally. I know that she was with the Front Royal Police Department for a very long time. I would think that she would have a good rapport with them, I would hope, to just come up and say, look, I'm with the sheriff, Sheriff's Department, we would like to use your range because it's already there, it's already set up, the safety procedures are already in place, and why try to spend additional county money for a facility out here? And actually, when they talk about quick turnaround in case there's an incident, emergency incident, if you have 5 or 6 sheriffs out here on a firing range and there's an incident in Shenandoah Farms down there where the store is at, or the fire department, it will take them an additional 30 to 35 minutes leaving this area to get to that location in the event of emergency.
It's 10 miles out here.
Yes, sir. And it's Route 340, and then it's 3 miles to Route 340 from here. And there are several, during the week, there are several trash trucks that come into this area. There are tractor and trailers, Lucky Boy, who hauls the trash to Luray. So you can't leave here with the lights flashing and the sirens going and hit 70 miles an hour on this road and go around a turn and have a possibility of an accident. Yeah. And then there are times when you get to the railroad track, the train's sitting there.
Here. Yeah.
And you can sit there for 20 minutes. And we've out here have made calls, but the fact is the railroad owns that property. Yeah. They have the right of way above anyone else. Yeah. So the actual location has a lot of negative things.
Right. So okay. I'm glad to point those out. Let's get another voice here from, here she comes.
My name is Lois Melzer. I am probably the closest resident to the landfill transfer station. I live directly across the road from it. Been there since 1958. I was there when in 1975 the Board of Supervisors made the decision to put a landfill here. I was there a few years later when they decided to put trenches right in front of the house to avoid the law that was going to change the following year that required them to be 500 feet from my well. They were 100 feet from my well. So the county's made some poor decisions. It's cost the county millions. Right now, they have bought a right-of-way for all of my road frontage because they don't want me to develop it because of the poison in my grandson's well, in my well. They've had to drill 2 wells, one for me, one for him. They monitor the wells, which is very costly. They are now checking for methane gas in my basement and in my grandson's basement. So the county's making decisions that are costing millions of dollars, and this would just be one more that's going to require monitoring. It's going to be possibly lawsuits, injuries to people, and I'm just hoping that they will take into consideration the safest place, the place that they can use, the most efficient, not costing we the taxpayers more and more money, and infringing on our rights to peaceful existence. I've lived with that for 50 years.
Yeah, you've been here a long time.
And I'm tired of it. And you know, just having gunshots off and on, it impacts your animals. We have cattle. You know, it spooks cattle. Have you ever chased a cow running through a fence or seen that your whole herd go flying out and you've got to find them somewhere? I mean, there are all kinds of things that gunshots will affect. So I'd like to see them put it somewhere where it won't impact our area. Thank you.
All right. Someone else? Leslie?
You want to go, Sheila? No, someone else got something. It's your turn. I'm Leslie Matthews, and I live here in Bentonville off of Matthews Lane. I am not as close as these neighbors are to the situation, but it does impact us as well. I first of all just want to state the fact that the supervisors and the planning commission are already looking at the land being contaminated, so why not use it again to contaminate it more? My grandfather was the supervisor of South River for 7 terms. And he fought hard not to even have the landfill, not to even purchase this land, to put a landfill here. And he gave lots and lots of reasons of how it was going to affect the county at that time and the years to come. And these folks are now at the point where they're seeing how it has affected us. It has affected us with the contamination, the wells that we've had to replace through tax dollars. We've had to put in water systems for people. We have constant monitoring of the methane gas here. This is all on the whole entire county that is paying for this. Now they want to possibly put lead in the ground. Yes, they say they're going to clean it up, but as we all know, that will not be a full 100%. That will also affect people's water even more. I just look at the whole fact that Essa Lane, which is county-owned property, it's centrally located in this county off of 55 towards Linden. We own 130 acres there. We already host a fire and rescue training facility there. So the sheriff's office and the fire and rescue are all in the safety building together. We can also put them together in one area, which sounds more feasible to me for the whole benefit of the county. And I just encourage our county supervisors at this point to not be looking for a quick fix, because when you choose a quick fix and put something out here, it's going to end up adding to the problems that Bentonville already has, and we're going to mount up to higher problems. And that's not fair to your county citizens, or it's not good rapport for your representation.
All right.
Thank you.
Leslie. Is someone else?
Morning, Mike. My name is Jeff Baggley. I just purchased this farm 16th of April of this year, and then I got a call less than a month later saying that the firearms ranger is going to be right there, right in my front yard. It's not in my backyard, it's in my front yard. I'm only 67 feet from the berm to my fence. When they did the testing, the decibel levels from the M16s were 119. In an agriculture area, it's only supposed to be 62. With their pistols, it was 114. Again, and an agriculture area is supposed to be 62. The fact that it's so far from centrally located Warren County is also a deterrent for me. The fact that there's a train that just this morning, I sat there for 18 minutes while two trains passed each other. The first one come to a complete stop. That's 18 minutes from here, 5 minutes to the tracks because the sheriffs aren't going to know that they're there, and then 5 minutes back to here to go back down Browntown Road. So you've lost 45 minutes to an hour trying to get to that emergency. The other thing is the fact of the 80,000 bullets that Sheriff Butler had proposed back in 2022. It was in one of his emails saying it would be 80,000 rounds. 80,000 rounds per year is only going to increase as our county continues to grow. We are a growing county. People love it here. I mean, it's quiet. We have the beauty. We have it all going on in Warren County. There's people that come from all over the world to see Skyline Drive, and then here we're going to be shooting at them. Shooting at me, shooting at my kids, shooting at my grandkids, shooting at my family.
What do you think it does to the value of your property, say, when you want to sell?
Oh, it will absolutely drive it down. It will absolutely drive the value down, which they said it wouldn't cost the county anything, but actually it's going to cost the county revenue from not only me, from all these other people. All these other great people come out this morning to voice their opinions and to voice their love for their community.
Someone else want to come forward? And well, here you go. Here is a young lady. All right, I'm going to have to tilt the camera down for you. Okay, what's your name?
Martin. I'm 7 years old, and I don't know why would they have a shooting range out here instead of the town, because if they have it in the town, they wouldn't hurt the environment like they do when they have guns. And well, we have this beautiful land out here, and all you're doing, if you miss, you're just killing wildlife that you love. And if you have to forage, you have to find deers, and there will be no more deers to even have anything.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, girl.
All right, we got a couple more here. Come on. All right.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. This is my 3-year-old son Theo and my husband Justin.
Okay.
We live about 400 yards away over in Gimlet Ridge. Obviously we have a lot of concerns about the environmental impact, the property value, but for us the biggest thing is quality of life. I grew up here. We just moved back a few months ago looking for a peaceful life in the country. Our son Theo is outside all day, every day. There are over 50 children, I think, just between our two subdivisions here. And for us, the thought of him playing outside and listening to firing and shots, it's devastating to us, and it's not why we chose to come back and live here. All of our friends and neighbors have the same concerns. We choose to be out here in the county to have a certain kind of lifestyle, and this is really going to infringe on that if it's something that goes through.
It's hard to put a value on peace of mind, isn't it?
Yes.
It is, yeah. I've been a childhood therapist for 10 years now. In my 10 years working as a therapist, I've never read a study indicating that this type of environment and noise and 80,000 rounds of noise is healthy for children, but I've read plenty of studies that indicates the contrary. Like my wife said, right, the planning commission or the sheriff's department, they might see, well, there's only 62 residential properties, but what they don't see is that there's 50 children here. And those children are here because their parents want them to have a certain lifestyle, and that lifestyle involves running around, often negating property lines and playing in the woods, and we just want a safe, peaceful environment for them. That's why we're here.
All right, appreciate that.
Yep.
Good job. Thanks.
So I'm Frank Grimes, and my concern is it feels like they're kind of rushing this thing. So I did some research to find out what is normally involved in putting in a range like this. And I came across an article by a guy who was the chief of firearm training for the FBI. And his article is around maintaining an existing range, and if you're planning a range, what steps you should take to avoid problems going down the road. There's basically 3 points. The first is noise, and he recommends that a professional sound study be done, not just going to someone's house with a decibel meter from Walmart. And, they're going to survey all the area that might be affected by the noise and how that noise might travel. So what is the real impact to the community? The second point is concerning ballistics. He recommends that a contractor or an engineer architect type who can design a surface danger zone to include a ricochet zone. And yeah, that's the gist of that. Then the third item is toxicity and the lead. And he recommends that they would establish a lead management plan, and that would include lead reclamation schedule and soil testing. He also recommends designing impact berms that effectively capture the projectiles to minimize the tumbling of rounds up and over the berm. Lastly, he recommends that new ranges select a firm that can address lead management and include a drainage plan. So it just feels like they should stop the press, back up, and do a little homework on this, and make sure this thing is not going to become a problem like other things have here in the past. Otherwise, I'm pro-police. They need the training, I get that, but let's do it right. That's my thought.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I got something to say.
Oh, we're waiting for you. And your name?
My name is Victoria Martin, and I find it hard to believe that they have actually took the noise into consideration, because I could sit on my front porch and I can hear them working over here at the landfill. We're all hunters here, so we know what guns sound like. It's hunting season. That's one thing. You have several people up here firing guns constantly. I don't live in a war zone. I feel sorry for the people that do, and it's going through that right now. I don't want my child exposed to that. Anyone.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Poic, and I live about a mile away. And I live direct line of sight to this facility. I can see it from my living room. They did a sound test with just a couple of guns. We filmed it on our phone, and it was plenty loud, because when you think about acoustics, this is a great big bowl, and so it actually goes out further than what you think, and it does affect the entire community. A few thoughts about how this is getting pushed through is that they want this to happen. They don't care that the community is against it, that we're united against this. They don't care the facts that we come up with, that this would be better suited someplace else. They don't care about our property values going down, but somebody is making money off of this, right? They're acting like it's going to save a little bit of money, but whoever's going to be developing this facility is Sheriff Klein's family, the construction company, and they say that they're going to do this for free, but we know that's not the case. The trucks don't run on air, they run on fuel, and somebody's paying for it. So there's hidden expenses to it just with the construction, and it just all smells funny. The Planning Commission, they're very good friends with them, they vacation with them. The supervisors are most invested in making the sheriff happy instead of the residents that they serve. And I feel like that just needs to be out in the open. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stacy Wise, and I live here on Shangri-La Road. I am against the shooting range for quality of life, the sound. When they came up and did the sound tests that morning, I didn't know, and it was loud. And I have a special needs daughter who's epileptic, who actually has seizures triggered by loud noises like that. And I would hate for her to go into a seizure from listening to these guns. And as they said, the hunters, if they shoot more than 1 or 2 times, they're bad. They're bad shooters. But the way that those guns were going off that morning, I don't want to hear that. And when the sheriff was at our HOA meeting, he spoke of like 22 days a year, and then by the time the meeting was, it was a little more, and I'm afraid it's just going to be more and more. They said it's going to be the best around. I'm afraid then everybody around is going to want to come use this range because it's so wonderful. So I implore you to vote no and find somewhere else for this, not in my backyard. Thank you.
All right. We'll give somebody one more chance, huh?
Yeah, I'm John Swenson. I live in Gimlet Ridge. My backyard, if I walk through the woods, I'm right here at Shangri-La Road, so we're very close. I've spoken at the Planning Commission quite a few times at the meetings, and have gone through all of this with different people. I feel one of the things I think needs to be considered very strongly is to have an outside professional assessment company come in and figure out where the best place for the sheriff to have a shooting range. They have named 4 or 5 places and have said, well, this isn't any good, this isn't any good because, but I believe that's not an outside assessment. That's just them saying, hey, out of all these, this is the best spot. And I think no matter what, families are going to be affected by an outdoor shooting range. And there has to be a better way to do this for the sheriffs where everyone is happy. And to me, that is the top thing. For all of us as brothers and sisters in this community to take care of each other and consider each other enough to not stop and say, this is all we can do. We can do whatever we want. We just need to proceed and make that happen. Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, anyone else? All right, David, why don't you go here and wrap this up for us, David?
Okay, and if I can add a few more points from earlier. One of the things that I wanted to share with you is that at the last meeting, when the sergeant was making a presentation of their analysis of various county-owned sites, there's 2 things I wanted to say about that. One is 2 of our supervisors did exactly what any of us would want our supervisors to do, and hopefully all of them would do, which is to say, it's to thank the department for doing the work that they did, but that it's critical that if the board is going to make a decision on this, the reports that they get from the sheriff's department or from any additional studies have to reveal what was the process for determining the values that were given on what makes a good site, what makes a bad site, and all of that. And they have preceded additional conversations with the sheriff's department to cover that further. So I hope we'll see all of our supervisors jump in on that. The second thing about that, if I can remember.
One thing that came to my mind is, like we said, not in my backyard, but if it's not in this location, it will be in some other location in the county. So I think it's to behoove other citizens that live other places to pay attention to what's going on, because it could be in their backyard.
Thank you. That's and that's exactly the one of my points is, if this is determined to be the best site, if it's determined to be needed, and this is the right timing for that need, and this is determined to be the best site through a fair process, it can be in my backyard. I have to figure out how to live with that. Right. That's my position. I don't represent the whole group when I say that. So it may need to be near somebody's backyard, but one of the things that I have brought to the county and to the Planning Commission and encouraged them to do, they have mapping staff. You can use modern computer technology to develop maps that they can sit down with the sheriff and detail every specific that would be the ideal for the sheriff's range. Location, response time, directionality, so they're not shooting into the sun, not shooting into a national park, which they are currently. The current plan does have them shooting directly toward the wilderness area. All of those values, and minimizing the impact on the number of neighbors. You can plug that into a map, generate a map that shows the ideal location for the sheriff's purposes, for the county's purposes, for the minimization of impact on quality of life and money, income for the county. And then you can put out a request to those landowners. And this is Warren County. There's a decent chance that somebody's going to say, yes, my 250 wooded acres that I haven't used for 30 years, the family hasn't, I will donate it to you, or I will donate a lease to you at $1 per year. I know leases can create some vulnerability, but it's a study, it's a low-cost study that would be very valuable to make sure that we're not burning dollars by making a quick decision and losing revenue from real estate values and things like that.
Well, I thank you, and I thank all the citizens of Bentonville.
Thank you very much.
Come and see us, all right?
Thanks, everybody.